Hey, what's up, guys? Tukey here, back again with another episode of my Carolina Hurricanes franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. And surprise, surprise, it's going to be another busy start to an episode. We have a couple of things to get to before we can begin this new season. Of course, the ultimate goal is to end this playoff drought. For the love of God, please, can we end this playoff drought? But after the last two episodes, really the last episode and a half, if you want to call it that, we have some business to attend to before we can get the season sim underway. Bottom line is, the trouble comes with a mistake I made on the goal for last season, where it was, if we do not make the playoffs, we bring in a veteran top six winger, or it could have been a center. It was just a forward, in fairness. But in doing so, I was supposed to give up a draft pick, one of our first round picks, to do that, and that is not what I did. I ended up bringing in that top six help in the form of Braden Shen, but I didn't do it the right way, which means we have Rokon and Nielsen, whose futures were up in the air heading into this episode, and admittedly, they're still up in the air. Rokon we traded up to get with the number 2 overall pick, and Nielsen was selected 12th overall. And I left the decision up to you guys in the comments as far as, what do we do? What is the punishment for the fact that I did not go about the goal the right way? And I know what some people think. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of rules for this series, and I get that, but that was the point. I get that some people, for example, don't like that injuries are on. Of course, I normally have them off in the majority of my series, including the ongoing Finland series, for that reason. But, you know, we added these rules for a reason, to make it more challenging, and to really test my attentiveness, I guess we'll say, because, again, I didn't go about one of those rules for the season the right way. It was my way of making it more difficult without having owner mode on. And I made that mistake. So I left it up to you, and surprise, surprise, as we have done for the majority of this series, it's gonna be up to the wheel. Now, as far as what's going to be on the line, well, I can't say that I'm too happy about it, but it's, you know, it's only fair, I would say. So here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. Let's talk about what is at stake as we look to spin the wheel here. This is what we're risking. The punishment's going to be up to the wheel. Option number 1, we lose Rokon for nothing. Option 2, we lose Nielsen for nothing. Option 3, we lose a first round pick for nothing. Option 4, we lose a first and a second. And option 5, we lose 2 first round picks. And option 6 is the one I'm not too happy about, and I almost didn't put it onto the wheel, but we're going to. Both players, Rokon and Nielsen. I was tempted to not put that on the wheel for obvious reasons, but we'll do it. And it'll be up to the wheel. It's literally wheel decide. The wheel will decide my sanity levels. Let's go with the lucky 13 seconds. And we are going to see what the punishment is as a result of my mistake. God, do I want to leave both players on there. Yes, let's do it. What is the punishment going to be for my failure to follow the rules? As long as it's not both players, I'm okay. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's going to be Rokon. Oh, boy. And that's why I shouldn't have fucked up. The wheel has decided. As a result of my lack of attentiveness, we will be trading away the number 2 overall pick, Dennis Rokon, for absolutely nothing. Let's get this over with. I will be nice and send it to a Western Conference team that's listed as a rebuilder that actually wants him, preferably. Chicago, I don't know. Why any team wouldn't want him, I don't know. But okay, it might end up having to be Chicago. There aren't too many rebuilders in the league right now. You know what? I like San Jose a little bit more than Chicago. Sorry, San Jose. Or, sorry, Chicago. Not sorry to San Jose. We will get their 7th round pick this year. We will trade them our 7th round pick this year. I mean, as it is, if there was ever a time to screw up and lose a player of this caliber, now is the time to do it, because we do have 4 first-round picks heading into this next draft. And obviously, we're going to have to make moves because I'm not allowed to make both of those picks. But this still sucks. But the wheel has spoken. Dennis Rokon, the one who never was. Let's do it. Rokon, gone to San Jose, and for that, we have made good with my mistake from the last episode. Now, you may have noticed, and quite a few of you are actually a little bit concerned about the lack of cap that we have right now. We're about $15 million under the cap. Of course, we do have a contract that we retain salary on, but some of you are a little bit worried that we might be a little bit too far under. So I will go ahead actually and solve that issue as well. I do need to get rid of somebody, and it probably will just be for a 7th round pick swap really quickly, as long as it's not somebody that I just signed, which honestly is going to be a little bit of an issue. I'm going to get in trouble for trading somebody a little bit too quickly, I think. Unless there's someone... Okay, Sylvester's been on the roster for a while. He wasn't that good anyway. As far as I remember, he wasn't looking that good. So, San Jose, you might get Sylvester as well, and that way we get our 7th round picks back. We'll do it that way. So, we'll move Sylvester to San Jose. It's going to piss off some players, but we will sign a veteran to a pretty expensive deal just to make sure that we're not in danger with the cap situation and having it readjust contracts, which would be an absolute nightmare. So we'll bring back Eric Stahl. I mean, that's the perfect guy to bring back, I'd say, in this situation. Obviously, we're not going to sign him to $15 million. We'll probably go down to like 8 or 9. Of course, I do still wish there was an easier way to go about this, but so be it. What has to be done, I mean, what's done is done. If it has to be done, it has to be done. 10 million might be enough. No, we'll go down. We'll go down to 9. All right, that's good. 8.6. So we should be good to go on everything for the most part. Let's go ahead and sim. We'll double check with Eric Stahl, make sure the team is set up exactly as we want it, and we'll move forward from there with our goals for the season, which of course wouldn't have been affected by us losing Rokon, but you just know, like, if we ever make it to a cup final, it's going to be San Jose. You know that's how it's going to work out, right? It's obviously going to work out that way. But the team, from the looks of it, is still good to go. Again, Myers will be our healthy scratch. The AHL defense, we have that one depth option. And then forward-wise, still feeling relatively good. Of course, we do have some new names, some new faces. Nathan McKinnon, Braden Shen. Of course, some guys that graduated up like Turcotte and Rocher. We ended up with Trevor Zegras. But I'm a little bit optimistic, as you knew I would be. Hopeful, if anything, that this will work out well for us. So the rosters are good. We will begin this new season, but not before, of course, we mention the goals for the season. And shout out to him. His name is the Incredible Jew, and he has been incredible at getting these top comments. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe he's fixing it at this point. Who the hell knows? The player goal for the season is focused upon Nathan McKinnon, which is not all that surprising, seeing as he was such a big acquisition. The goal is have him lead the team in points. Do what Sebastian Aho could not do. If he does not do that, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a contract year, and if Nathan McKinnon cannot lead this team in points, it's not his fault. It's just he needs more time, and we'll have to sign him to a max 8-year contract, which the good thing is he'll be 29, so that's not too much of a disaster. But yeah, not to mention what the no movement clause would end up being. Having that decision taken out of my hands for what exactly I'd prefer to sign him to, that would be pretty brutal. The team goal, after being as abysmal as the team has been, I feel like that's fair, have a power play over 18%. If not, we have to select all righties in this upcoming draft, excluding the goalie. Which, oh God, you want to talk about the rules of the draft and how that could really complicate things, but that was the most thumbs up comment, so that will be the way this goes down. As far as the power play is concerned, I mean, likely Trevor Zegras or Alex Turcotte could end up on that power play unit if need be. I mean, having Dominic Machine there is not great. I don't even know if I want Braden Shen on that unit, to be honest. I think at the very least I'm already going to put Zegras on the power play. It's not, I mean, well, let's put Bowen Byram there for now. Get him that little bit of extra time, and then we'll see what happens. Of course, injuries could complicate what this roster looks like. Maybe, certain underperforming players, stuff like that. We'll have to tinker around with it a little bit as we continue onward. But for now, that is all the house cleaning out of the way. It is time to begin a new season. Can we finally snap this playoff drought? I absolutely hope so. Time will tell. But yeah, an interesting turn of events here through the first 10 minutes or so of this episode. I still haven't closed the Wheel Decide tab. I'm looking at his name like it wasn't meant to be, and it's my fault. It's all my fault. Then again, there might have been a way to end up with Rokon had I not made that mistake, but again, the mistake was made. And the funny thing is, in the last draft, I was sitting there talking about the possibility that we were, that I should have made that trade at that point in time, but that I wanted to wait to see how players developed. That was my mistake. Had I acquired, whether it have been an Artemi Panarin or a Braden Shen or somebody else at the draft last year, we would have been fine. We would have been set, and it wouldn't have been an issue whatsoever. So that is a mistake that will likely haunt me for the rest of this series, especially if we struggle to find success. I mean, as far as our lack of success up to this point, I mean, it's tough to say that it's because of the rules, as Trevor Zegras goes down to an injury. I don't necessarily think it's because of the rules, because for the most part, we have had pretty solid teams on paper. Something hasn't been clicking. Nino, what's up, buddy? Not feeling positive again. I don't like going demanding every time, because 9 out of 10, it does work out just fine. And I've talked about that before, right? We could easily go demanding and have it be, whatever. But screw it. It's on, so I'm going to answer it like I would answer it in real life. And damn it, Nino, I know you have it in you. And he's like, no, I don't believe you actually have faith in me. So that's cool, Nino. That's cool. We're 8-3 through the opening month of the season, which is pretty sweet. Nathan McKinnon, that's what I like to see. 17 points in 11 games. It's a beautiful sight. Now, I will mention this as well because, of course, there has been the talk of sliders lately and everything. X-Tech just put out a video, I think, yesterday about it. Again, as far as how I have this set up right now, the big thing that Brent had always mentioned was the icing and offsides. And again, I have this set up the same way in the Finland episode. These are the sliders that I've, been able, or the settings that I've been able to have result in higher scoring leagues. Again, the general tab is the only thing that matters with the sliders. There's no point in changing this. I've run tests on Twitch live with every goalie stat at 0, every shot, every shooting attribute at 100. That doesn't do anything, but that general tab absolutely does. And of course, we've known that for a while due to the injuries. It's just such a weird thing where, again, a little bit of lack of transparency on EA's part when it comes to, what sliders do anything, and you get told nothing. But technically, that general tab maybe wouldn't necessarily be described as a slider, even though it's an attribute effect. It's so weird, but again, I am fairly confident in that opinion now as far as, what actually does what, and I'm fairly confident with the attribute sliders that we have set up now. Whitfield up to an 89, but he's not a top-line player. Really? Whitfield's an 89, but not a top-line player. That is shocking to me. How does that work? Especially by EA's logic, where I believe it's, god damn, do I have the editing doc up right now on the old Google Chromes? I do. As the draft class is going to be good, which is pretty nice, but, I mean, according to EA's logic here, as Zegras was already back in the lineup, I mean, a top-line forward is an 86. So I don't understand that whatsoever, how he wouldn't automatically be a top-line guy unless it adjusts throughout franchise, which has never been an indication that would be the case. But what are you going to do? Fritz Meyer's up to a 70. That's not bad. Shavitki is a 61. I want to see how good Gisbers is. So we'll have him as our backup moving forward. And there's some damn good overalls here. Peterson really should be in the NHL. And to be honest, I don't know why he's listed as the depth forward. There's no reason for that. He should be a third-line guy. He is so incredibly well-rounded. That might open up a space for him. If there's anybody that has to be moved off the roster, it's Dylan Peterson who's taking that spot. I can't imagine we'd go with anybody else. He's looking great We also want to see how good Fierro is. Of course, right now, Benoit Olivier Giroux is not in the lineup, but we'll see how good Matthew Fierro is, our other free agent signing, alongside Gisbers, the goaltender. So Pekka Matinen's back. We'll go just best lines for now. That might put Teuvo at center over Shen, but that's not a big deal. And Vahalati, the defenseman that we picked up from the Philadelphia Flyers, just went down to injury. Not that big of a deal. And Gisbers gets hurt. Broken collarbone. Nice. Hey, goalie, here you go. Here's a shot. Let's see how good you are. Broken collarbone. Oh, God. I don't even think we're going to have any info on him, unfortunately. And defensively, okay, good. DeLuca is in. That's who I wanted to make sure was in so we can see how good he is. He was the other signing. Still no info about Matthew Fierro, but of course he was just a shot-in-the-dark pickup. Hope that he's a good addition since free agents are so difficult to pick up. It's very difficult, obviously, with Fog of War on. Wow, Zegras goes down again, this time with a broken foot. Absolutely brutal right now on the injury front. Yeah, I don't think I'm trading Jack Drury for Jamie Oleksiak. That's an Ottawa offer if I have ever seen one. Another injury as well. Again, we'll go best lines. And obviously, we just talked about this earlier in this episode. Normally, we do have injuries off. If you go back and watch the majority of my series over the past 3.5 years, injuries are normally off. But in terms of it being a challenge series, it makes sense to have injuries on because of the randomness. Obviously, it would be... I get that it can be tedious to watch. It's tedious to have to sit there and adjust it every couple of minutes. And we've constantly altered the injury slider throughout this series. But I can't lie and say that it doesn't make it a little bit more difficult. And, having that extra need for depth, having to make sure that we have a guy like Philippe Meyer signed as a 7th defenseman, it does add a little bit extra as opposed to the Finnish series where, right now we know we're going to be a full-force team all the time. December 1st, 17-6-1. I've been a little bit quiet about our record because I didn't want to jinx it, but we're doing pretty damn well. The Charlotte Checkers are 2 games under 500. We are currently in first place, and Nathan MacKinnon is still leading this team in points. It's a beautiful thing to see, as Svechnikov is a legitimate 90. Not bad. Funny thing is, Shen and Teuvo, they're about even in terms of the face-off rating. I'm not overly happy with the production of that second line, but it could certainly be worse. And then as far as that team, or this team's concerned, I think I'd want Matt Philippe on a higher line than Allen, and we'll keep that the same. So again, Hunter Shinkaruk. Still weird that we have Hunter Shinkaruk on this team. Not as if I gave him a good potential at the start, obviously, but he's actually turned into a serviceable player, which is kind of cool to see. As opposed to, it's NHL 15, and guess what? Yeah, Hunter Shinkaruk's a great player. This is the first time I've seen Hunter Shinkaruk in a series since NHL 15, I think. God damn. But other than that, we're looking good. I mean, I haven't really looked at any attributes. I mean, Romanov's not a big point getter, but that third pairing's not that bad. Bowen Byram has 5 points. Jake Bean's a minus. I'm not overly upset with what I'm seeing. And maybe, and Spencer Knight's been great. Maybe it's just because, of course, injuries. We haven't had a full roster for the majority of the season, and we're winning. So what's really the point of being too upset? Do we have a potential on Gisbers? Medium fringe. Ugh. He will be a depth goalie for us for a long time. Next 3 years, we'll get Shavicki back in as the other option. And in the AHL, just to make sure that we have... I know we have injuries that we're dealing with right now, but Fierro's a 72. We still don't know the potential on him, but the 72 is much more promising than the other goaltender. What else do we have here? Low 6s. I'd rather try to develop medium 9s than low 6s. I've been well quoted on that as my my hatred for low 6 potentials this year. They are the worst in the game. They really are. We'll add Luke Henman in over Luotstarainen, and we'll make further adjustments from there if need be. But for now, let's hope the good times keep going. 17-6-1. One of our better starts, not our best start to a season by any stretch of the imagination, but one of our best starts to a season that we have had yet. As far as the power play is concerned, too, obviously we'll try to keep an eye on that throughout the season, but the big thing is knowing that Nathan MacKinnon is leading the way. And obviously top-line guy, the power play time, he's going to have every opportunity. I thought that was going to be McKinnon hurt. Instead, it is Dougie Hamilton. So I think, again, for now, screw it. We'll just go best lines. I'm trying to keep the Charlotte team together as much as I can so that we can at least get a full report on Fierro. We lost our first game of the month against Pittsburgh, but we bounced back with 2 wins, outscoring our opponents 10-4, and Fierro gets hurt. Oh, see, that's why I thought Nathan McKinnon was going to get hurt when we were talking about him so much. Hamilton's back. We'll just go best lines again. Try to cut out as much of the... Oh, boy, Spencer. Your injury-prone ways are really starting to concern me. Like, really starting to concern me. We are going to have to call up Fritz Meyer as the backup in the meantime. And this team belongs to Jimmy Howard for now, because we failed a goal and had to re-sign him for a while. God help us all. God help us all. We'll go best lines again down in the AHL just to have that team be good to go. We play Arizona for the first time over the next 8 days, and we win 6-1, ending a 2-game losing streak. We play the Leafs again, consecutive Saturday nights, and we lose that one as well. So glad to see we match up well against the Leafs. Great to know. Back-to-back against Winnipeg and San Jose. We lose to the Jets but beat the Sharks. This has not been a banner month for us as we lose to Arizona. We have 3 games left: Chicago, Detroit, and Montreal. And a couple of wins would be nice as we've crashed back down to reality. 6-5 win over the Blackhawks. I am not trading for Julius Bergman. You have no chance in hell of getting that to go through New York. Better luck next time. Detroit, pretty good team. We lose Morgan Geekie to injury in Charlotte as we lose to the Red Wings but beat the Habs. And as of January 1st, 2024, we sit with a 23-13-1 record. The lack of pity points for overtime and shootout losses could come back to haunt us, and indeed we have fallen off the pace. We're down in the wild card spot. The Metro looking like a fairly strong division at this point. We're only 3 points out of the top spot, but it's going to be a very close race down the stretch, and with that pressure on us to make the playoffs for the first time in 3 seasons, this isn't exactly where I wanted to see us. So Fritz Meyer has 4 appearances, 3 wins, a .950 save percentage as a 70 overall goalie, and Jimmy Howard is the worst. Oh, he's so bad. Oh, Jimmy, why? Why do you suck so badly? I don't understand it. Jake Bean still has 20 points despite me switching him to a 2-way. And to be honest, I'd probably change him back. Byram definitely needs to be made a 2-way. I guess that's the one thing that I didn't really do heading into this year was change around any of the players, which I will do right now. Do I jump cut? I'm gonna jump cut. I'll be right back. Alright, so that's over and done with. Just wanted to quickly optimize everything. So you'll notice someone like Nathan McKinnon, we've changed him from a sniper to a playmaker to try and emphasize that he puts up more goals. Braden Shen has been switched to be a legitimate center. And of course, right now I've still wanted to keep up with the idea of skill, defense, and physical. No confirmation whatsoever that that's an effective strategy, and really, it might be, it might not be. I've had teams, I mean, if you watch that short-term Edmonton run where we had an ungodly team just because I was fully exploiting the AI, we had 4 skill lines. Like, we had 4, if I'm remembering correctly at least, we had a full skill team. And honestly, you can sit there and say, oh, okay, I'm going to put Team Canada into the Stanley Cup playoffs and see how they do. Despite the fact that the best team doesn't always win, more often than not, even though they have 4 skill lines, they're still going to do very well, as Nino Niederreiter hurts his back, which is unfortunate. The injury bug continues to bite, but hopefully we can continue to pick up some wins, and we do thus far. Nino is back, and someone else must be as well. That's going to be cause for somebody to be dropped. Actually, oh, the goaltender. That's what it must be. Yep, Spencer Knight is back. So Fritz Meyer will go back down to the AHL. I cannot believe how well he was doing at the NHL level for us. Funny enough, going best lines puts Whitfield on the second line rather than Tavo. That's not what I want. Thank you, though. And in terms of the best lines, yeah. So if I go best lines, it puts, I guess it's Dominic Machine. It might be Mason. I'm not sure just because of where he's from. But yeah, it puts him on the power play. I'm trying to make sure Bowen Byram's there. He just has really good passing stats, even though it's like he would be a really good offensive defenseman. Mason, Machine, whatever the hell you want to call him. He'd be a really good offensive defenseman. The only issue is his offensive awareness is low. Like his passing's great. He has a pretty damn good shot. He's just not the complete player I think that you would want on the power play. Not that the end-all, be-all is offensive awareness, although that'd be an interesting test as far as, say, putting a player who has the best shot and best puck skills possible, but has a terrible, if not the lowest offensive awareness. How would that player do in a sim? We might have to do that at some point. Nina Riders, 100%. So we're fresh off of our third straight victory, beating Philadelphia. We then lose to Columbus. We have the home game here against the Blue Jackets. Eric Stahl goes down to a concussion in the AHL, and we pick up a win. So we split the home and home with the Blue Jackets. Follow-up victory over the Panthers, and we're still looking pretty good. The AHL team, not exactly firing on all cylinders like I would have preferred, but not too bad, all things considered. I want to say for the AHL team, it's not about them finding success, mainly in the postseason this year, but it kind of is. Like, we have some players there that should absolutely be getting some playoff hockey experience and then, hopefully getting ready to take the jump up into the bottom six. Hell, Dylan Peterson, if he has a good enough offseason, oh God, Morgan Rielly goes down to a minor injury. It's a concussion, but minor in terms of he's only out for a week and is only going to miss, he's actually not going to miss any games. He got hurt during that Blues game where we got absolutely destroyed, but case in point. Say hello to the totally not all-star break, and Rielly is back. Blake Coleman, no thank you. Not a bad bottom six option, but not needed, so no thank you. As of February 1st, we sit at 32, 16-1. Obviously, we're going to get towards the deadline here, but we are currently in third place with a game at hand, so we could potentially catch Philadelphia. McKinnon still leading the way on a tremendous point pace right now, which you just love to see it. Svechnikov, I changed him to a playmaker for that reason. He is a better playmaker than a sniper, despite the shot being as good as it is. But he's putting up some points thanks to being next to McKinnon. And Tavo, again, is up on that top line. No, stop it. And Whitfield is there. We still have him as a sniper, as it's relatively close. Let's get Tavo on that left-hand side again. Obviously a playmaker as he is. Shen's set up as a playmaker. Nino's set up to be the sniper on that line. Still better to be a sniper, I would say. But, maybe the game's onto something. Maybe having Whitfield as the main sniper on that second line would be the better way to go. And then we do have Tavo with McKinnon. We'll keep an eye on that, but maybe having Whitfield be the main man might not be the worst way to go. Third line, Pekka Matanen is an extremely well-rounded player and an extremely physical player at that. Currently has 14 points. Turcotte has 22, which is great, and 21 for Zegras, so they're on a pretty damn good pace. Zegras has only played 33 games because of injuries, so in terms of someone stepping up into the top six, it's looking like it's going to be him. That was a pretty good pickup from the Flyers. And then the fourth line, Hunter Shinkaruk has 16 points. That's great, especially when I only look for 20 points out of fourth liners. Theo Rocher is almost there already, and Allen's on freaking 18. So that fourth line is looking great. And you see the offensive awareness of Rocher. You see the well-roundedness of Allen, who does have medium top six potential. I'm liking where this team is going. I mean, I would have preferred this team to be in the playoffs over the past few years, of course, but the future is looking pretty bright. Jake Beam was changed back to an offense, and Bowen Byram, unfortunately, just the offense isn't there, but he is a positive player this year. I think the downside with him, I'm going to be honest here, and again, with where he's from, I'm going to guess I've heard it said as Machine, but it might be Mason. We need to not have a fourth defenseman on the power play. It clearly has to be probably Zegras. I mean, Rocher could be there as well, but this absolutely needs to be changed to Zegras, and we'll double check. I mean, hell, we have him set up as a two-way forward right now, and he is absolutely killing it. So let's go ahead and make that change, and then we'll double-check the team stats. I want to see how good of a power play we have heading down the stretch here towards the deadline, where, I got to be honest, I mean, we have the possibility to make changes. I don't think we will. I guess the question would be, do I want to bring in a better backup than Howard? I mean, I'd have to keep Howard on the roster because of the rules. I mean, it's either he retires or he's here next year as well. But, you know, bringing in a better backup and having Howard just be there for depth might not be the worst idea. Again, right now, third place in the division. In terms of goals for, we have a top 3 offense in the league, which is tremendous. Goals against is a 2.9, which is bottom 6 in the league. So we're looking very good in that regard. Our power play right now is at 24.2%. The goal for the year was to have at least an 18% power play. Admittedly, that might be a bit too low, but the good thing is, even if you wanted to raise the stakes, I mean, we're mid-table in terms of power plays. Actually, we're a little bit lower. Huh. You know what? I'm gonna stick with the original way that it was written out. 18%. Fine by me. The penalty kill is somewhere mid-table, at the very least. It's not to one of the extreme levels, either positive or negative, so we have that going for us. So let's go ahead and sim through the majority of February. We'll see what the team's looking like by the end of this. Hopefully we're still, at the very least, in a top 3 spot in the division. First place would be great, of course, but you never quite know, I suppose. So I do not want Brandon Peary and Jack Dougherty. Thank you very much. I'll pass up on those two, DeLuca and Garou. I'm going to have to edit the trade block here, aren't I? Of course, teams go a little bit trade heavy in the final few weeks before the deadline. We won our first 2 games of the month. We lose our next 2, unfortunately. Winnipeg, 9-3. They were a decent team, too. Huge win, and then Nino Niederreiter goes down to injury, so again, we'll go best lines. I think that's been, despite the fact the power play's been good, that's been one of the biggest issues with the power play, is that we've had to deal with a lot of injuries, and rather than just constantly changing it back to what it is, it's like, screw it, just go best lines. It'll be fine. And, I mean, if you think about it, too, with the power plays, they're gonna be fine. Even if, Dominic Machine's there when he really probably shouldn't be, it's gonna be fine. We're not gonna be that bad. The one thing that I just thought of, though, after that last offer for DeLuca, we might have picked up somebody half decent there. He was a free agent signing, if I'm not mistaken, and that could be something. That could be something, that many teams are interested in trying to acquire him. Player morale, what is happening? Nathan MacKinnon. Team's really gelling. It sure is, buddy. It sure is. Things are going very, very nicely. And there we go. See, Nathan agrees. At least he didn't disagree. Hey, Coach, things are going nicely. I agree they're going nicely. I disagree with that. I'm surprised that's not what the response was. With this game being the way it is sometimes. I love it so much. Morgan Geeky hurt again. He's like the glass bones fish from SpongeBob. My God. Jesus, that poor guy. Unbelievable. Our final game before the trade deadline is against the Vancouver Canucks. We beat them 4-3 6 days ago, and we beat them again here. So a 5-game winning streak as we head to deadline day. It is deadline day, February 28th. It is a leap year, so you got that going for you. But 40, 20, and 2 on the season. Again, the lack of OTLs could hurt, but that is one hell of a record. The Checkers struggling, unfortunately, but if only one team can make the playoffs, I would much prefer it to be us, and we are right there, just battling it out. I mean, the top of this division, the top 4 teams, all within 3 points of one another at the most. It is a slugfest in this division right now. You look at the Atlantic and how that compares to the Metro. Unfortunately, we're in a very, very competitive division that could see us in a wild card spot, or 20 games from now, perhaps we win the Metro and head back to the playoffs. But at the very least, we are currently on pace to do just that. So taking a look at the team, knowing that the goal for the season was to have Nathan MacKinnon be the top scorer, I think that's pretty much a lock. Svechnikov is having a great year as a playmaker. Absolutely tremendous. 63 points with 20 games to go. He's on pace to absolutely obliterate his point total from last year, which was a career high in 70 points. McKinnon, 33 goals already, 74 points in 62 games, already passed last year's total. Will he be able to rival what he did in the real NHL in 17-18 with 97 points? Time will tell. But he should hit his highest goal total ever. I'd expect he'd be able to score at least 10 goals, hopefully 11, in his next 20 games. Final member of that top line right now has been Teuvo Teravainen, who has 48 points in 62 games, on pace to have his best season with us since we've started this series. So he's bounced back and forth between the top and the second line. He's doing very well regardless. Nino Niederreiter has dealt with some injury troubles this season, but he has been tremendous. 40 points in 58 games is absolutely phenomenal on the best point pace he has been on, or close to it at the very least. He did have a very good season last year as well, and his shooting percentage is down, so if he were to be able to get that up over the next 20 games, he'd be looking great. Braden Shen, our veteran player who technically cost me somebody, but we don't have to talk about it. 43 points in 62 games is okay. As long as he hits 50, I'm all right with it. Whether or not he stays beyond this year, I don't know. He's just going to remind me of Rokan. And Whitfield, 25 goals, 30 assists, 55 points, on pace to have a new career high. The plus-minus is looking much better. He has a higher shooting percentage this year. Whitfield's looking pretty good. We go to the third line. Pekka Martinen, 9 goals, 13 assists, 22 points. He only had 28 last year, so again, looking pretty damn good. Penalty minutes are still a bit high, though, but with that physical category, which again, my God, the Incredible Hulk on skates, apparently, just smashing everything. Alex Turcotte, 30 points in 62 games. Absolutely tremendous in his rookie season for the role we're asking him to play. And then Trevor Zegras has been great. 36 points in 46 games. No doubt in my mind a future member of the top six, and could be the guy to outright replace Braden Shen next year. We know he can play center. He has 90 faceoffs. The only reason why he's not a center, Alex Turcotte has 91 in faceoffs. So no doubt the top six next year could be something like that. And I'd be fine with it. Of course, whether or not... I mean, McKinnon's coming back. It's just what the contract ends up being. And on the fourth line, one of the biggest surprises of this season, as we had to pick him up to make a trade work, 25 points in 62 games, Hunter Shinkaruk. Absolutely ridiculous. The highest point total he's had in his NHL career. He put up 22 points last year. He has been great for us. Who would have thought? Theo Roche as well, already over 20 points, 24 points in 54 games, and a tremendous number for a fourth liner in his rookie season. And then Antti Alonen, the former 20th overall selection of ours back in 2020, also has 24 points. So I'm extremely happy with this team. I don't think we have to look to replace anybody as far as the offense is concerned. I think we go forward with this team. I mean, there's no denying, obviously, with the first-round picks that we have, that moves could be made, but why bother? I mean, right now we're looking at being able to use 3 first-round picks to trade up and get into the top 5 again this year to help replace the loss of Rokan. As far as the defense is concerned, Morgan Rielly missed a little bit of time due to injury, but 57 points in 62 games as a defenseman. Absolute monster back there. Dougie Hamilton as well has also not played a full season, but he has 35 points in 59 games, which is great. We go to the second pairing. Jake Bean has had a pretty damn good season. Of course, we kept him over Falk, and so far I don't regret it. He's matched last year's, or just under last year's, point total in 12 less games. Bowen Byram, maybe we should have traded him. Maybe we will. Unfortunately, I mean, here's the thing. He's good, right? The problem is with this game and its lack of advanced stats is the only thing you can really go off of is points and plus-minus, which is brutal because that doesn't tell the full story. If this game were able to track advanced stats, which is much more difficult to do than baseball, for example, right? Baseball, it's much easier to track, say, FIP as a pitcher as opposed FIP, as opposed to, tracking, how well Bowen Byram, shuts down the opposition rushes, right? Or, his zone exits. That's much more difficult to track and program. But for a top 4 guy, you would like to see more than 14 points, even if the team around him is capable of putting up points. Dominic Machine, 13 points, not too bad, all things considered. And Romanoff with 9 points as well. Just not a major point guy. The very least, that does allow guys like Riley, Hamilton, and Bean to put up a little bit more points. And then Spencer Knight, 918 save percentage, which is what we needed him to have last year. But 47 games played, 33 wins, 3 shutouts. Jimmy Howard, again, has been brutal. That's the one spot where we could look to improve as with a backup goaltender. So let me know what you think. And I mean, I suppose, too, the defense, we could also look to improve there. No question about that. But I want to know what you guys think as far as the options there. And, of course, down in the system, we do still have some decent depth in case worse situation comes to worst. Peterson has taken a step up to a third-line guy. I don't think we'll use him this year. We might as well let him stay in the AHL and continue to tear things up. And then next year he'll be called up. And, I mean, right there, I think we let go of Braden Shen. Again, we have Zegras step up to the second line. Dylan Peterson steps up to the third line. I think we have built-in replacements, kind of the same way that we had Spencer Knight, knowing that we were going to have him replace, or when he was going to step up, who he was going to replace. We had that all lined up, and I think that's a similar situation right there. But obviously defensively, I mean, Luke Middlestat, Noah, and Power are getting close, but, we don't exactly have the built-in replacements just yet. So we could look to make those changes if need be. And as far as the rest of the team, or I should say the rest of the league is concerned, although taking a look here, I wanted to see who we had unsigned right now. And I mean, DuPont's looking great, 74 overall, 20 years old, medium elite. He should be an impact player, 13th overall selection in 2020. Zigomanis is a little bit rough, but Berard as well, someone who could have been playing in the AHL this year, but we left him unsigned, let him develop. He's looking great. Nielsen, of course, who we were able to keep, thankfully, is a 77 overall at 19 years old. God, no, I don't want to see what Rokon is. We'd have to turn off Fogabor anyway. Ray and Smith are both looking good as well. So the system in general is stacked. And we do have, again, those 4 first-round picks that we will be able to do a little bit of damage with. So let me know what you think before I were to sit here and look around. I'm not going to bother unless we actually decide to make changes. It's just the defense that I'm a little bit concerned about, and the backup goaltender. If we want to make those changes, start a next episode, we'll look through. If not, we'll keep the team as is, sim through the rest of the season, and maybe potentially get into a first-round matchup if we do make the playoffs, which is extremely likely. As it is, the only team that could put us out right now is on 70 points, 12 points behind us. But boy, we were 12 points out last year, and we almost made it, and might have had Spencer Knight not get hurt. So I'm only going to be so confident at the moment. But thank you guys. We're done here for now. Appreciate you as always. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video as well if you haven't already. Again, apparently YouTube finds that to be the most important thing right now. So at the very least, if you could drop a like, I'd greatly appreciate it. I don't think I have to ask you to subscribe. I think you would have by now. And aside from that, check out everything in the description if you haven't already. I will see you guys soon. And for the love of God, let's hope we make the playoffs. Have a good one. Take it easy. I'll catch you next time.